Welcome to a very special edition of the Immigrant Magazine Weekly dedicated to celebrating the legacy of the late Chadwick Boseman. My guest today is Mr. Bambadjan Bamba, actor, filmmaker, and immigrant rights advocate, especially as the African face of DACA. He has worked in prominent roles on numerous hit television shows like NBC's The Good Place, ABC's Grey's Anatomy, HBO Sopranos, and in blockbuster films like the one we'll be talking about today, Marvel's Black Panther. This is comic Suicide Squad and Oscar-nominated film Beginners. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click the subscribe button now and ring the notification bell so you will be notified. Also press the like button so that YouTube will share our videos. Chadwick Boseman portrayed the regal Black Panther T'Challa, now one of the world's most beloved superheroes. Regardless of his racial makeup, the Black Panther movie, with Boseman's help, broke box office records all over the world. On today's episode, as we celebrate the legacy and impact of the late Chadwick Boseman, Bamba, who was one of the actors in the Black Panther movie, will share his experience working with big stars like the late Chadwick Boseman himself and what that journey is like being Black and immigrant in Hollywood. Well, so now I'm really happy to have Mr. Bambadjan Bamba. Hello, Bamba. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here. How you doing today, Pamela?
I'm doing great. In spite of the circumstances, this is one of those interviews that you wish you had, we had to do under different circumstances, something more cheerful. But
Right.
we have to do it to pay homage to our fallen brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. As people of African descent, as Africans, as Black people, as Americans, and to become Americans as human beings, because we
Yeah.
are a human race.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are really, going through something, but you have a particular relationship with Chadwick in the sense that you were part of this phenomenal movie that broke records and really helped us as people. So tell me about your relationship with the Black Panther movie in question.
So my relationship dates years ago. Well, even before we shot the movie, I had a dream that I was going to be in the movie.
No way.
And yeah, and I put it on my vision board, and I circled around it, prayed on it, got ready, did some taekwondo, and when the opportunity came, I ended up being the guy, to play a role on the in the movie. So I was the militant leader in the movie, and I got a chance to meet Chadwick briefly when we were on set. It must have been December 2018, I think. Is it 17? No, I want to say 18. So actually maybe 17. The movie came out in 2019, right?
Yes.
So it was like so it was 2017, and it was the first day of shooting, actually. I was there for 2 weeks, and we all got there, myself, Chadwick, Denai, Lupita, and the first week of on the set, everyone's just trying to get adjusted, trying to like find their groove and energy. So I got a chance to speak with him when we were practicing the accents. Mm-hmm. So there's a very specific Wakanda accent, and then the part that I played was a Nigerian from Boko Haram. So he had a different accent. So there was a lady teaching us the different accents, and we had a little conversation about that. He talked a little bit about Africa. He was very passionate about Africa, about his roots, and about making sure that the character that he played was actually authentic. So, as we all know, he's African-American, but he did his DNA test. He went to Africa. Like, he did a lot of research.
Wait a minute. Where did he find out he was from? Cameroon? Cote d'Ivoire?
It's a good question. I think it was partly Cameroon, partly Nigeria. I'm not sure what the other.
I just have to say that because I'm from Cameroon, just so you know, we produce them like that.
Oh, I know. Everyone has to be from Cameroon or Nigeria, and y'all just keep forget Ivory Coast and Cote d'Ivoire.
know.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right,
It's okay.
go for it. Tell me about how how, first of all, how, when you got the call that you were going to be on this phenomenal movie, at the time you didn't know it'd be this big, did you?
No. I mean, at the time we knew that it was the first black superhero, by Marvel, and all the black actors in Hollywood wanted to be a part of it. Now, how big it was going to get, I mean, we figured it was going to make some money, but no one knew that we would be like breaking barriers, billions of dollars. Like, I think it's the number 3 grossing film of all time. I don't think we all knew that. But I mean, when you get on set and you just see Chadwick specifically, because he was the leading man, the kind of energy that he had on set, he was very, very humble, very, like, you could approach him. He didn't have security guards around him. He didn't have all these assistants. At least when we were on set, him and Ryan Coogler really set the tone that this is just going to be like a cool, chill set, no egos. And that actually was my experience. So yeah, just met him briefly, saw him do his thing, and I was like, man, I want to be a leading man like him, to be able to, be the head, the number one on such a big film, and still be level-headed, still be able to talk to people and really focus on the craft. So
That's amazing, because I was reading all the tributes that are pouring in, and Michael B. What's his name? Duncan?
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan, his co-star,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the antagonist,
Yeah.
protagonist, said in a tribute that he was going to start living his life like Chadwick, with grace, and he said all
Mm-hmm.
these nice things about him.
Yeah,
And
it was
just,
very special.
yeah, you have just testified to the kind of person that he was, because
Yeah,
you don't get a chance to meet people that have actually been on set, and now you're giving us this firsthand testimony. It's just
yeah.
amazing, that what a loss. So I really want to ask you about the fact that, as an African,
Mm-hmm.
acting in this movie and watching Chadwick play this African role,
Yeah.
did it in any way affect how you feel about the casting that takes place in Hollywood? And I know he did a phenomenal job, but I just have to ask.
Well, there are definitely people out there who are like, well, we needed an actual African actor. And there are people that are like, man, he was the perfect guy to play the role. I mean, at the end of the day, the results of the film is it made a lot of money.
Right.
And not only that, but it changed, cultures. I mean, people started looking for African clothes and Ankara Fest, like African royalty clothes to wear to the theater. And a couple of years ago, it wasn't the in thing, it wasn't the cool thing. So it broke those barriers, and it also showed that movies with black leads, I mean, regardless of where they're from, they're actually bankable and they can travel internationally. So that's what the movie showed. Now, for me, when I was on set and after watching the movie, I just realized how, like, this movie to me is the perfect bridge. It built a bridge between African Americans and Africans. And that, if there's a mission in my storytelling artistic life, that's what it is. Because when I came to this country, I was 10 years old and no one understood where I was from. And I caught a lot of hell for being African. And now I grew up here. I understand the nuances between being African and African American. And I'm like, I'm the perfect guy to try to, like, bring that together. So to be a part of that movie that literally was about a king and his long lost, an African king and his long lost African American cousin, basically fighting for the throne.
And you just touched on it a little bit, but I want us to talk about the impact, especially for you, you're a dad, the impact that this movie and what it portrays in celebrating Black culture, being
Mm-hmm.
Black, especially today with Black lives, you know,
The
in
Black Lives Matter
everything.
movement. Yeah.
How do you think this would impact our children and our children's children moving forward.
I mean, what Black Panther did, honestly, apart from all the great accolades, the most important thing it did was probably give our little brothers, our little sister, give young Black boys and Black girls someone to look up to that is a superhero that looked like them.
Correct.
And it helped them see that Africa is not just a continent of war, famine, and poverty, but they could imagine, like, you know, an advanced society that's self-sufficient and that's actually helping the rest of the world. So I think that's probably the greatest legacy that this movie has left. I mean, it helps us, even Africans, like, wow, this is what's possible in Africa. And it helps African Americans, like, wow, is this what Africa looks like? I heard people were Googling Wakanda to try to go there on vacation. And Akon is actually like building a Wakanda city in Senegal. And I mean, they could be all over Africa. It helps us dream much beyond, you know, the things we see on TV.
Absolutely, not just the lions. And you know what, speaking of which, you know, think about what's going on today with COVID. I was reading an article yesterday about Senegal having found a way to solve its COVID crisis that we could mimic here. They're making their own cheaper versions of ventilators. They have their own treatment, and they've had less incidents of death. We could learn something from that. We also have, was it Capo Verde that had like a vaccine or something or treatment for it? Isn't that just Wakanda right there? That Africa could be supporting.
To me, that's Wakanda. I mean, that's what it is. But there's this perception, especially with the world's biggest scientists, that nothing really good comes out from Africa. Like, a lot of times it's like doctors that are coming to save Africans, give us vaccines, but that's proof. Like in Senegal, there's people actually creating the cure, the vaccines, the ventilators, and Madagascar, but are they being taken seriously? Is the world ready? Is America ready to say, wow, we got the vaccine for COVID-19 from Africa? I'm not sure. But what I do know is, shoot, if there's a vaccine and it's in Africa, I want it. I don't care about the government or what have you. I mean, we don't need a government to have access to it, hopefully. So.
You know, the Black Panther showcased what people of African descent are capable of, with or without others. And that, yes, they could be the precursor of change for the world. What do you think Africa right now needs to propel them to that kind of recognition? And what do you think is really stopping them?
Wow. I mean, that's a loaded
countries,
question.
Right? Africa is countries, 54 countries.
Right. So that's the first point. It's 54 countries, 54 different cultures, 54 different kinds of, well, not 54, but there's the French kind of government, there's the English kind of government, there's a Portuguese kind of government, and and all that has its own like trade policies, constitutions. So I think one thing that limits us is being able to produce and trade amongst each other, like just making it easier to be able to do that. And the other thing that's important for me is I'm living in a diaspora like you. It's pretty important for the diaspora to also have one voice for as an entity, and also be able to have money and influence and power and speak as one group in America. And every other group does that, but the diaspora doesn't. And everything we've learned in the diaspora, I think it's also important for us to go back home, see how they're doing things, and work together, collaborate to make Africa stronger. That's my opinion.
I want us to get back to talking about our fallen hero, our superhero, whose life we're celebrating. And can you believe that at the time when you were on set with him and all the other actors, his life was in peril and nobody knew. And now in death, he's come to symbolize something that people are just starting to wrap their brains around, What lessons do you think he leaves behind?
Man, Chadwick. Well, first off, I mean, when I heard the news, I just kind of like stopped everything and just sat down because one, I didn't believe it when I first heard it. I was like, that's impossible. Black Panther can't die.
No
Like,
way.
it can't happen. It can't. And then when I realized it was true, I sat down. I was very sad, cried a bit. I talked to my wife. It was very close to home. I mean, I don't know him personally, but I feel like all Black people looked up to him, and we kind of gave him like that honor, because he walked with so much dignity and pride and royalty of an actual king and hero, that it hurt all of us. And I think it's even deeper because we're going through COVID that's affecting our community more, where we're dealing with people still denying that systemic racism is real, and people fighting for racial social justice being called looters and arsonists.
Mhm.
So for me, it's almost like, man, how much can we get beaten down? It's like you get beat down. You're like, all right, let me get up. Let me muster more strength. They kill somebody else. You're like, oh my God, this is crazy. All right, let me pray. Let me get back up. And then Chadwick happens. So you're like, come on, man, we can't.
Can take
We
this.
don't need like this extra thing. So that was the first feeling. I felt a lot of sorrow. I felt very angry because it felt very unfair. But at the same time, when I think about the legacy that he left of just strength, pride, great art, craftsmanship, and he just showed us what it meant to be to be a real life hero. I think because he was protecting us from what he was suffering from, and I mean that's one of the greatest acts of humility that I know about, and strength. So yeah.
Isn't it amazing that the character he played
Mm-hmm.
seemed to be almost synonymous to how he lived his life? That is just
Yeah.
T'Challa, the king, the regalness and the humility and the desire. All what was portrayed in the film, Chadwick seemed to embody that. And
Yeah.
but unfortunately, the immortality of him in the film.
Right.
Yeah. But
I
talking
mean,
about, go ahead.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say he's gonna be missed, and I just know, and I have peace because, in Africa we're very spiritual people, and we believe that our ancestors look out for us, they watch out for us. So I believe he's at rest, he's at peace. He was a God-fearing man. I just pray for his family and his wife and all those who were really really close to him. And like I said on my IG, where he ran his race and he passed the baton on, so now it's our turn to continue that race.
Yeah. I don't know how far this is true, but I just read also that the character Zuri might be taking on the mantle to continue the Black Panther series.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we were already scared, but when I read it, I was like, how am I going to embrace her? She played his
Right, she
daughter.
played his sister.
Yeah, the sister,
Yeah,
the baby, but she was also very spirited and everything.
she was
And,
amazing.
my
I think she do a great job. It's actually what happens low key in the comic.
correct.
But
Okay.
just giving a Black sister a chance to shine. I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
that's the age we're in. I still think there'll be another Black Panther, but if there could be a movie specifically for Zuri, a movie specifically for the Dora Milaje, we're ready. We're ready to like
We are
take
ready. Now,
that on. Yeah.
speaking of which, you talked about giving the female a chance.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris is just nominated VP
Indeed.
candidate, and
Yeah.
we're coming up to elections right now. Is
Yeah.
there anything you're particularly rooting for? I know we've talked about so
I'm
many
rooting for a lot, but
things.
particularly what actually affects my life. So I'm a DACA recipient.
Yes.
And today, actually, 3 years ago, Trump, through Jeff Sessions, terminated DACA. And for the last 3 years, we've been fighting with them in the court to the point where we went to the Supreme Court and actually won a victory to keep DACA in place. But they're still taking pieces away from DACA. So instead of 2 years now, they're making it 1 year, and they're not accepting any new DACA applications. So we're fighting. It's a never-ending fight, but it gives me hope that Kamala Harris is in there because she's a personal friend. She actually sent her office sent inquiries on my immigration case on my behalf, and you know, we're hopeful that everyone will go out and vote. Black folks will go out and vote, and specifically immigrants who got their papers finally, who are citizens, who don't take this voting seriously. I think it's time to vote for, you know, your Black undocumented immigrants in America like me who don't have papers and who can't vote. So we're counting on you guys to vote on our behalf. Please, you came here, you did what you had to do, you got your papers, but there's 500,000 more and millions of others who are trying to do the same thing. And you all know we're here to make this country better. We're here to work, to do the best that we can to help it be better and help back home also be better.
You know, you really are very inspiring, Bamba, I have to tell you, because you
thank you, Pamela.
Stay strong, you have family, you take care of your family. I've seen you, you're a great family man. And in spite of that, you're dealing with DACA. What message do you want to tell, especially our African and our Black brothers and sisters community, about why this election more than ever is that important? Because some of them are talking about, oh, President Trump is doing so much economically, and so they don't care. And most of them they forget that there is a big immigration crisis that's affecting not just you as a DACA recipient, but potential for Africans to be able to even come to the United States legally in any way, shape, or form. What can you tell them about that?
Well, let's make something clear, right? Trump, his whole agenda is to kill immigration. Like he has been, when we talk about defund and dismantle, he's been dismantling legal immigration. Let's not even talk about illegal and people at the border, which is, you know, crazy, and like concentration camps for babies. But let's just talk about people who came here and did it the right way. You've been here, you got married, and now you had your green card and you're about to apply for your citizenships. There's hundreds of thousands of green card holders who the DHS and USCIS are just sitting on their green cards. So when you hear Trump talk about chain migration, that actually is family-based migration, how his wife got her paper. So he's trying to stop that. Meaning for Africans, the main way we come here is through family-based immigration. So your dad is here, he becomes a citizen, and he's like, hey, I want my son to come. And then your son comes and tries to get his paper, or a husband, his wife is in Africa, or tries to bring her. That's one of the main ways Africans get to come to America. The second way is through the visa lottery, the DV lottery. So he's trying to terminate that. He's already terminated for a few countries. And we talk about the Muslim ban. We know in Africa that there's half Muslim, or a third are Muslim, a third are Christian, and a third are traditional African religions. So already a third of Africans can't come to America if they're from Muslim countries like South Sudan, Libya, and a few others. So just know that it is a war, not just on illegal immigration, but on legal immigration. So if you don't go out and vote and get them out, you can be stuck in another country, or your family can be stuck in a precarious situation and not able to come to America. So it's
I hope they've heard you. I hope they've heard you.
That we vote. Black folks, you know, it's very important.
Thank you so much. So what are you working on before I let you go? Tell me.
So, what am I working on? Man, I got this great opportunity, and it's crazy because I said 3 years ago, I announced my status. Trump tried to cancel DACA. And 3 years ago, I decided to come out publicly as a DACA recipient. Now, Black Panther was coming out, so I used the momentum of the movie to help amplify the DACA movement and put a face to the issue. So 3 years ago, I thought that that move could have been the end of my acting career. And
Right.
3 years later, here I am, not just an actor, but actually an activist and advocate for millions of other dreamers like myself, to the point where I'm speaking at the White House. So last month, Will Smith was doing a show on Netflix, actually a documentary on the 14th Amendment. And I got a call and they're like, hey, would you come talk about your experience? So here I am. And I spoke to Will Smith and I told him, I'm like, look, everyone thought that I was stupid for coming out as a DACA recipient. Now here I am working along with you, Will Smith. And we had a great laugh about it. So for me, it's just a sign that, I'm in my purpose. That's coming out soon. And I'm working on a couple other DACA undocumented series and those things. So, yeah.
That's just an amazing story, and continue to be that advocate. You're advocating not just for yourself, but for everybody else. And I'm so proud of you. But thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Pamela.
And I wish you all the best. And may the king,
Yeah,
T'Challa, may the king,
for the king.
Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace,
Yeah.
right? Or what? I think
Rest in peace. Live forever.
Amen.
Amen.
Take
Amen.
care. And thank you. And come back next time and give us more updates.
Will do. Thank you, Pamela. Blessings. Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, we've come to the end of our show, a very special edition dedicated to the life and legacy of the late Chadwick Boseman. I hope his life inspired you just as much as it inspired me. I hope you had a great time with my guest. I hope you felt enlightened. I would love to hear your thoughts on our discussions, so please share them in the comment section of this video, and be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Anchang, and like us on Facebook, The Immigrant Magazine. See you next time on Immigrant Magazine Weekly on TIMTV.